Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, our guest star, BCA's Katie Boyd Britt, and Secretary of State John Merrill. Also, the V team takes a look at moving the runoff elections. And COVID-19, it's here and it's serious.
You know, I'll never forget my old dad. When these things would happen to him, the things he'd say to me.
What did he say?
What the hell are you doing in the bathroom day and night? Why don't you get out of there? Give someone else a chance.
But even in tough times, you gotta laugh. You gotta put on a smile. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and I'm joined today by Susan Britt, my wife and partner.
Hi.
Susan, it has been a trying week for the people of Alabama for the most part. We have seen the COVID-19 virus go in 1 week from one diagnosed case in Montgomery to 83 cases statewide. In an abundance of caution, today we are filming our show on a Friday with a very skeleton crew.
Correct.
You and I don't have to practice social distancing because we live together.
Right.
But we are doing that with others and keeping our crew safe.
In fact, our guest today will be Skyping in instead of actually being on the
Yes.
show, which is something we're trying out for the first time.
Sure. And so, Susan, what's happened is we're getting more testing, so we're seeing more cases. It's not that these cases are just new, it's just we're newly discovering, for the most part, I think. I don't know if you can bring up, you have a map.
I do.
That allows us to track. APR has a map that allows us to track the virus. If you could show us
this
on
is,
the map.
as you can see, this is something that Chip Conley designed for us, a master of things that he is, so that you can actually track per county where they are, total, how many total deaths, and then you can click by county and see how many cases. Right now we have 1 case in Mobile County. We have 1 case in Baldwin County, 3 cases in Montgomery County, 5 cases in Elmore, 1 in Chambers, and I believe, 10 in Lee County. Up here we've got in northern Alabama, 1 in Limestone County, 5 in Madison County. Getting toward the center of Alabama, you got Walker County has 1, Tuscaloosa County has 1, Talladega has 1. I believe this is St. Clair. No, that's Calhoun has 1. St. Clair has 1, and then we start getting into the middle here. Shelby County has 10, and Jefferson County has 36.
Yeah, that's the epicenter,
That is the
basically,
epicenter.
of what is going on. Governor Ivey this week took dramatic steps. She declared a state of emergency.
She did.
And the reason this is to stop the virus from spreading.
Yeah, with the speed that it's spreading right now.
With the speed that it's spreading. But she closed restaurants, bars, and all that can only serve curbside or takeout. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you were,
The bars are down completely, but yes, restaurants right now, you can get takeout service or you can get delivery as well.
and bars ABC has now allowed bars to sell alcohol. It just has to be for takeout.
Right, it cannot be consumed on premise
Right,
in
right,
either
right,
situation.
right. And then nail salons, hair salons.
salons.
I mean, pretty much anything that's non-essential.
Exactly. They're going to be shut down, and that's really going to hurt
Right,
those small
right.
businesses.
and it's including the beaches are closed down. But the reason that we do this is not to hurt people or not to proclaim that it's the end of the world, but to protect folks from this virus.
The reason that these is in contrast to something like a automobile manufacturer, because in like a nail salon or in a hair stylist, there's no way they can maintain the 6 foot distance.
Right.
It's impossible to do somebody's hair or nails from 6 foot away. So that's what distinguishes them a little differently than some of these other businesses.
Right, and that's and one of the orders is, no gatherings of 25 or more people. As
long as it's a non-work related.
As long as it's non-work.
They made the caveat on Friday on that one.
Right. Non-work related.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a work related thing, you can, because the companies are taking precautions. One of the things I want to get to here is one of the big reasons we're doing this is because of what they say is flattening the curve. And a lot of people hear that, they don't know exactly what it means. But flattening the curve means that the way the curve is going now, a bunch of people are getting sick all at one time. If you flatten the curve, that means people are getting sick one by one by one by one, but not all in a big mass, right?
Right, and the example of that is we went from 1 to 80. Now, some of that had to do with the fact that we've just started testing, and that, the results were delayed. So we went there very quickly. But you can imagine if that were the case, these cases were doubling day after day after day after day, what kind of strain that would put on the healthcare system, not only the doctors, but also the hospitals. We've only got 1,300 some odd ventilators. We've only got so many beds. We've only got so much IC. So by taking these measures, we're actually stretching that out a little bit. That people are still going to get this, but it's going to make it easier on the healthcare facilities.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We don't want to overwhelm the healthcare facilities.
We can't.
So that we're making life and death decisions because we don't have the beds or the ventilators or the personnel. I mean, healthcare workers are subject to this virus too.
I believe in Italy, we do not want to get here where they're triaging patients.
Yeah.
Where and I hate to be morbid about this, but let's take for instance, you've got a 67-year-old with the COVID-19, and you got a 20-year-old with COVID-19. 60-year-old. 67, you got more, not as good of a chance of them surviving as you do a 20-year-old. We don't want to get into that situation. Right. So it's really important that everybody take this seriously, keep your distance, and self-isolate as much as possible. Right.
So, and basically, I know it sounds stupid, wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Hand sanitizer, keep your distance.
Don't touch your face. All that stuff
all those things
is the best we have to offer right now. Susan, you and the folks over at APR have put together a resource guide for folks if they would like to use that.
We will, and I'd like for our audience also, our viewers, to participate and help us with this. What we're trying to do is create one space where everybody can go find what are delivery services for food. Also for where you can get groceries delivered, where you can get your prescriptions delivered, homeschooling links for parents that they're home with their children, retail hours for seniors that are special. So if you could, please help us. If you hear any services out there that we do not have, please contact I'm going to put my email up on the screen here. It's sbritt@alreporter.com.
All right. Well, thank you. You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back. Our special guest will be Katie Britt from the Business Council of Alabama.
What a great opportunity for your success. Adding 500,000 highly skilled employees to our workforce by 2025 is how we stay ahead in Alabama. Our economy is stronger than it's been in years, and a skilled workforce is more important than ever. Things move fast, so choose your path. Your success is waiting, plus a great future for Alabama. Success Plus. Go for it.
What are you doing today, babe?
I thought I'd head down to the lake with the guys, do a little fishing. Of course, none of us will be wearing our seatbelts. I'll lose control of the truck, wrap it around a tree, and kill us all.
Okay.
Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
The Energy Institute of Alabama promotes reliable, affordable, and clean energy to help grow our economy, create high-paying jobs, and build public support for Alabama's energy industry. The Energy Institute of Alabama is the best source of energy industry information and how it affects households across the state, from convenient energy production to alternative fuels to solar power and beyond.
Welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. Susan, life is being disrupted on an unprecedented scale. Our businesses are taking a big hit. A lot of them are giving more than ever. I'd like to check in on see how the business community is doing, and nobody knows more about that than the CEO and president of the Business Council of Alabama, Katie Britt.
I would agree.
Katie, welcome.
Hey, Katie. Glad to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Our businesses are suffering in some cases. In other cases, they're thriving. But everybody, it appears, is being affected by this COVID-19 virus. When you've talked to the business leaders of our state, your members, your board, what are you hearing out there among the business leaders and those on the front line?
Bill, you're absolutely correct. It's unprecedented because it's not just one industry. It's not one subset. It's not after a natural disaster, one area of the state. It is statewide, and this is affecting everybody up and down 65 and out into all the rural areas. I have seen a lot of shift in posturing. The people who are able to have people telework or telecommute, whose broadband is good enough to support that, obviously, they're letting those employees do that. I have seen a lot of people institute more health and safety precautions within their manufacturing facilities to make sure that not only their employees, but customers are safe. And then you've seen from the restaurant and retail industry, the grab and go and the curbside service and the delivery service. So I have been encouraged that people are being innovative to make sure that we stay safe and healthy, but also that we keep supply chains open and that we keep products moving.
I think Susan has a question she wants to ask you, Katie.
Yeah, Katie, as small business owners ourselves, we're very concerned about other small businesses, especially in the retail part of our economy that are such an important part of our infrastructure and how this is really ultimately going to affect them. Do you have anything that...
Absolutely, Susan. I'm so glad you asked that. I mean, as you know, the Small Business Administration has deemed that about 99.4% of our businesses in the state of Alabama are small businesses. It's about, I think, like 47.2% of our workforce are small business, are employed by small businesses. So it is clearly the lifeblood of our state. So it's imperative. I mean, we've got a lot of people that have issues with they've taken out a loan to start a new business, and then they need to pay rent, and then, and they need to pay employees, and they need to pay bills, but yet their customer base is dwindling, or obviously their opportunity to operate those hours have either been limited or diminished. And so, these are very real problems. We're encouraged by what's happening on the federal level with regards to the SBA loans, and thank the governor for requesting that we be part of the disaster assistance that will allow our state to apply for those loans. That will be good. The things that are coming down in the federal packages, I do believe will help. I think we've Obviously, we've got liquidity and capital issues there with small businesses, and just trying to get that influx to help them keep their doors open. And I think we'll see more from a federal perspective. And also, we've seen some things on a state perspective about, pushing some tax filing dates back and other things. So I'm encouraged by what I see. I know that there's still much work to be done, and you can rest assured that the Business Council will make sure that small business has a seat and voice at the table in every one of these conversations.
Well, Katie, we want to thank you for your leadership over the Business Council of Alabama and your leadership for our state.
Well, thank you. Appreciate what you're doing for information out. Thank you. Thank you both so much. We appreciate it.
Susan, twice in our life, we've gone through a natural disaster and a terrorist attack.
Yes.
And seen our businesses go under. On 9/11, the government said they would step in and help out and all this. And really, the type of help they promised never came to real small businesses unless you were very connected.
And also, when we went through 2 hurricanes back to back in North Carolina, FEMA promised this and FEMA promised that, and nothing ever showed up. Or it was like, well, you've only been in business, less than 2 years. We have to have 5 years worth of tax returns. They're saying that maybe small businesses may be included in the third tier of what they're proposing right now. They are not included in what's going on right now. But they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to be able to provide something for small businesses as they weather this storm. This is not their fault, and they need some assistance.
The other thing I think that is very important, because we experienced this as well, the governor and the legislature just recently cut unemployment benefits. They need to reinstate the unemployment benefits for the citizens of Alabama who are being put out of work because businesses are laying off.
I think they cut them from 26 weeks down to 14 or something
it's like
that.
14 weeks.
And that's just not going to be enough for this. I'm sorry. It's just not.
It is not enough. And, this is one of the problems right here, that Republicans, not all Republicans, but a lot of Republicans have been harping on smaller government, smaller government, smaller government. Get it so small that you can strangle it in the bathtub. Well, guess what, people? This is what a government that you can fit into a bathroom looks like. It cannot keep up with all the demands. We're going to print trillions of dollars to try to fix a problem that we should have had more resources for going in.
These are type of situations where this is when government is supposed to kick in.
That's right.
This is the most important function that government has in our lives.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's failing right now. It's not working. I mean, we're piecing it together, but
that's right.
I hope we're going to take this and make a playbook out of it. I really do.
Everyone is stepping up now, but they're stepping up late. Somebody who stepped up early was the Alabama Power Company.
Absolutely.
Some groups out there have been critical of Alabama Power, saying they didn't do enough. They're keeping the lights on. Guess what? They're doing it at their expense because if people can't pay, they're not disconnecting. If people have late fees, they're not going to charge them.
Right.
Can you get...
They don't have to do this,
That's
okay?
right.
They don't have to do this, but they're stepping up and saying, we're part of the community and we're going to help.
Right now, to every citizen that has Alabama Power always on should be reassuring to you, because they have promised to keep the lights on for their million-plus customers, and we want to applaud them. They're doing.
And I can tell you, if you hit your credit card limit, they're not going to up it for you. If you're late on your credit card, they're going to charge you a late fee. They're going to charge you interest.
Right.
In any other facet of life, you're going to run into this.
That's right. All right, we're going to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. Next up, we're going to talk about elections with John Merrill.
Hey man, what are you doing today?
Playing the game. Thought I'd go out for a drive later maybe. Text some friends while I'm doing it. Scroll through social media. Kill a family 4 and a head-on collision.
Cool, man.
Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
A lot can change in 5 years.
Except those smile lines you treated with Bellafill. Because that's about how long Bellafill will keep them smooth and filled. 5 years. Now you can always look your best without all those injections, appointments, and costs. Bellafill is the only dermal filler that stimulates and maintains collagen growth long term. Now time is on your side.
Welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. Susan, the governor moved the runoff primary elections with advice from John Merrill, and there have been some questions about it. It has certainly changed things, but let's just go straight to the man who knows. And
That would be John Merrill.
That's right. Secretary of State, John Merrill.
Thank you, Bill. It's always good to be your guest.
Recently, you and the governor made the decision to move the runoff elections to July 14th. Could you tell our viewers a little bit how you made that decision and what we're doing going forward?
Certainly, Bill. One of the things that we recognized when the gravity of this situation continued to increase and we knew that some things would be a little different than had been planned, it was important to make sure that we knew that everything that had to happen would happen appropriately, correctly, and by law. The first thing that we had to do was to make sure that since no individual or entity in the state of Alabama has the ability or the power to change the election date, we had to seek an opinion from Attorney General Steve Marshall. We wrote the question, he evaluated it, and because the governor had declared a state of emergency, he believes that Title 31-9-1 gives the governor the wherewithal, the ability, and the power to delay or suspend or postpone an election. Therefore, the governor did that and selected a new date, July the 14th, as the date that the runoff would occur.
How does this affect absentee balloting, those that have already sent in their ballots, and those who wish to vote absentee on July 14th?
Bill, that's a great question. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure of was that anybody that had already started the absentee application process, which is to complete the application and to have that application be accompanied by your valid voter ID, whether it be a driver's license or one of the other 10 items that are available. If that's submitted to the absentee election manager, the circuit clerk in your county, at that point, you will receive a ballot, and for the next 117 days, you'll be able to cast your ballot for the candidate of your choice in the runoff on July the 14th.
Do you think that what we've witnessed over the last few weeks, we're still...
Bill, to go there, let me interject this as well. I think it's important for the viewers to know if they have a question or a concern about which box they need to check, if they're not sure that one is going to be appropriate or the other, they need to make sure they select the one that is appropriate for them. But if they say, hey, I'm just afraid of the coronavirus and I don't want to get out, then they can check the box that says I am ill or infirmed and I will not be able to go to the polls on election day. The Code of Alabama, section 17-11-3, gives me the authority when the governor has declared a state of emergency to determine if an appropriate box can be checked in that absentee process. So that's what we would encourage all 3,585,209 voters to do.
Well, Secretary Merrill, thank you for your service to our state, and be safe.
Thank you, my friend.
You know, I'm of a mixed mind about moving elections. You know, it sets an awful precedent, really, but it's happened. One of the things we've seen as a result of this, if you look at the U.S. Senate race, the Tommy Tuberville campaign, the Jeff Sessions campaign, they really don't know what to do.
No, they're having a real hard time, and I feel for them in this. They can't go out and shake. They can't go to the local barbecue joints and meet people. They're basically going to be using social media to try to get out their message.
Yeah.
That's tough when you're used to being face-to-face with people and campaigning.
And what kind of campaign ad can you run? You're going to jump on somebody and call them this and call them that and everything.
I don't think that's going to work.
That's going to turn people off, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
You know, the only thing you can do is get out a positive message at this point. And I don't know that anybody's paying attention.
And you know, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Well,
maybe that's another lesson learned from this
maybe
pandemic.
this is one of these things, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all, right?
Exactly.
Well, whatever. You know, Susan, working in politics, you certainly see the dark side of people, the dark side of greed, the dark side of how these things take shape in government. Right now is a dark time. It truly is.
It is.
And it's dark because of uncertainty. You know, we don't know how deep and how wide this goes, so there's an uncertainty. I know for me, when I look at this, I see the fear of the unknown as one of the biggest parts that's driving the panic, the anxiety, the hoarding, because people don't know how long it's going to last. They don't know if they're going to get sick. And these are all understandable emotions, right?
Right.
I mean, but washing your hand and social distancing and all the things that we're told to do just don't seem like we're doing enough, right?
Right.
Doesn't seem like it.
There are a lot of organizations out there that are trying to put together things now to help, and I think that's going to be probably, I know there's supposed to be a concert sometime this week trying to help small businesses and those in retail raise money for those employees that have been impacted by this. And so I think we're going to start seeing a lot of movements in those directions, which will give people an opportunity to help.
And people are getting on social media and talking to each other and all that. And one of the things that I think is important is that people get good facts, that they stay informed. I mean, if you go hunting for crazy news, you're going to get crazy news.
You're absolutely.
We have a fact and fiction page over at APR.
Correct.
So you can check it out, and we add to that daily. The thing is, find a news source you trust and listen to that news source. Over at APR, we are putting out some 20, 25 stories every day on the coronavirus. But I think one of the things that struck me is that we are the offspring.
We are.
Of people who have survived much worse. And we will survive this. And what we have to do is stay strong, stay committed and involved, and help others.
And don't panic.
No, don't
panic. I mean, my grandparents lived through the Depression. I've heard the stories. I've seen the habits they developed coming out of that. They survived it.
Well,
we can survive this too.
We can. Stay safe. This too shall pass. You've been watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.